Welcome to Chalk Talk. I'm Chris Love.
Hi, I'm Zeke.
And I'm Jane Mackey. Thank you for joining us, and thank you also to US Sailing for making Chalk Talk possible. Now, if you haven't already, do show your support and head over to ussailing.org/college to get your US Sailing college membership today and all the great benefits that come along with it.
Well, if you follow Chalk Talk on Facebook, then you probably already saw Zeke's Monday morning recap. And if you haven't, you should follow us at facebook.com/college sailing chalk talk. But anyway, let's get into the full story from this past weekend.
The big co-ed regatta this weekend was the Trux sailed at Navy. With wind delays on Saturday, it wasn't until 5 p.m. that they got 4 races for the 4 divisions. The first couple of races were only 9 minutes long, making it a bit of a test on the patience and composure of the teams. Brown led after day 1. 8 races were sailed on Sunday in cold conditions back-to-back with no lunch break, so a different kind of perseverance prevailed on Sunday. It was a close battle between Brown and Yale, 2 teams we did preview in the lead-up to this regatta. Speaking with Graham Landy, Yale's A-Division skipper, he said everyone had quite high average scores due to the puffy and shifty conditions over the course of the weekend. He said it was important to put a deeper race behind you so that you could get your head back in the game to continue to put good scores on the board for a good result over the weekend. Coming off the water, I'm told that it looked like Brown was going to take the Trux for a win. But a late scored OCS puts Yale in first by 6 points. Dream Team Landy and Heather May winning A Division, and Senior Claire Dennis in D Division winning over the boys her last laser regatta for college sailing. Thanks to Devin Laviano for the pics he took from the back of the finished boat and for the real-time updates over the course of the weekend that we posted to the Chalk Talk Facebook page.
And on a personal note, I'd like to thank Judge and Luke for OCSing themselves at the Trux and making me look stupid and allowing Jane to win the prediction contest. So not to get too far ahead of ourselves here, guys, but it was pretty cool to watch some potential College Sailor of the Year candidates duking it out in A Division. Much of the event saw guys like Chris Barnard, Ben Spector, Graham Landy, Colin Smith. These potential Sailor of the Year candidates kind of duking it out in really tight quarters. Eventually, Graham Landy separates himself a little bit from the fleet, getting the W in A Division. Little early for predictions, clearly, but with this being the last big fleet racing interconference of the regular season, maybe something to be taken away there. And down to the county for the St. Mary's Women's Interconference Regatta, where 13 races were sailed in each division. Clearly the big story here is the demolition site posted on the B Division scorecard by Boston College's Erica Reinecke and Elizabeth Barnard, who take the rest of the division to Housetown, winning by 52 points, averaging an unprecedented 1.8 throughout the course of the series, which was more than enough to get the job done, despite a slightly less stellar performance in A Division from their counterparts, but they still come away with a 40-point win over the Hoyas, finishing second. How about a little bit of love for Cornell's Lauren Turner here? She comes away with a W in A Division after last weekend getting second in A at the Navy Women's, so let's look out for this chick as we go. And yeah, Jane wins the prediction again.
Yeah, nice picks, Jane. 2 for 2. You told us last week that Erica was going to do this, winning B Division by enough points to get her team the win. But, you know, we got to ask, why is she not sailing A Division?
Yeah, Chris, I'm really happy with her performance this weekend. It's good for me, good for my predictions, but I'm starting to wonder what's going on. I'm a little bit concerned. It's a bit of a problem to be winning B every time so handily and having your A Division quite deep down. It's almost like it's actually not very good for the sailor to be winning by so much. There's a problem with teaching you bad habits, you rely on your speed, it's not as competitive for you as a sailor to grow. I wonder, is it they're just trying to win more regattas? Is this the strategy that we're going to see them moving forward with to nationals, to rely on their B Division to just pull them through to win? I think it's kind of strange.
Yeah, you know, I think you guys just hit it on the head. Why isn't Erica Reinecke sailing in A Division? I'm talking straight to you, Coach Wilkinson. Everybody knows you've proven you can win women's events with Erica dominating B Division. But what do you say we put Steph Hudson out of her misery a little bit and let Erica sail where she belongs?
Well, Wilkinson is notorious for being overly conservative, especially with his freshman talent. You know, they'll sail them not at the interconferences, and then when they finally do get their shot, it's B Division for a while. He loves to, put the bigger pressure on the older sailors. But, Erica Reinecke is a different breed. Coming from Lauderdale, she grew up sailing with the likes of Anna Tunnicliffe and Brad Funk. She's comfortable on the international circuit with appearances at Youth Worlds. She just doesn't feel the pressure, and she showed us that all fall. It seems to me that it's just time to move her up. Take a look at the score line. 1-2-1-5, 1-2-2, 1-1, 4-1, 2-1. Absolutely astounding performance here. That's a total of 24 points over 13 races. Less than 1/3 of second place Mimi Roller score. Just an unbelievably impressive performance by this BC freshman.
Certainly no taking away from Erica here. She was out of her mind. Clearly none of these B Division women can come close to touching her. But let's not forget, she's still swinging from the ladies' tees. And at this point, she's not even on the pro ladies circuit yet. She's still in the amateur sailing in B Division. So until she does something in A Division like this, I'm not going to really be thoroughly impressed. I was, however, thoroughly impressed by another woman on the circuit this weekend, Mary Hall. Doing something that has actually never been done, at least in the tech score era. She posts the lowest point total at a Navy Fall or a Trux Umstead regatta in any division. This is a regatta where teams live and die by their ability to post low points in the laser divisions, and never is the lowest point total scored by someone from a dinghy. So not only does Mary step off the ladies circuit onto the big league court and play with the boys, not only does she get an impressive single-digit finish, she wins B Division by 23 points and posts the lowest total points of anybody in Annapolis that weekend. So I don't know what could be more impressive than that.
Okay, no doubt, Mary Hall is having a very impressive beginning to her season. But the beginning to her season so far for her has just been these 2 weekends sailed at home at Navy. And you know from talking to her last week that that home water advantage there is so important. I'm ready to see her take the show on the road.
Come on, Chris. I mean, the home court advantage, that's maybe important last weekend at the women's regatta, but when you're talking about the premier top-tier fleet race interconference regatta of the entire spring, you're talking about a completely different animal here. I mean, just the level of competition, these guys' ability to get off the starting line consistently, execute their game plan consistently when compared to a women's regatta is just totally different, and it's really not an easy thing to do. And when you look at what Mary did, not only is she able to compete, but win and dominate on such a level, it's a crazy thing to do amongst the big boys like that.
I'm not saying Hall isn't a great sailor. You look back to the fall season, and clearly she is, with top finishes at all the women's interconferences. But she hasn't really run away with any regattas, except for maybe the Mesa Women's Championship, which didn't include any of the top teams from NISA. So until I see her do what Reineke did, I'm just not going to be convinced. I'm really excited to see if she can go up against Reineke as they set their sights on nationals. I think Navy has a very good chance of performing well. But, I'm just not convinced yet.
Yeah, and you're right, Chris. Clearly these are two incredible women sailors. Can't wait to see them duke it out at the Nationals. But I think that this weekend Mary Hall proved that she's got something else in the tank that I'm not sure any other woman in college sailing really has to offer right now, stepping so flawlessly from the women's racing into the co-ed and dominating so dramatically. And it makes me think back to Allie Bleacher a few years ago, arguably one of the best women's college sailors ever. She goes to nationals in Wisconsin, wins A Division for the women's. Her team wins the women's college nationals. She's crowned Women's Sailor of the Year, and the next day gets the start in B Division on the co-ed course and didn't do horrible, but couldn't quite get it done, gets pulled after 2 sets. And if that's not a testament to how difficult something like this is, I don't know what is. And I just think that what Mary Hall did this weekend is one of the more impressive things we've seen all season.
And just as Mary Hall can win at Navy, I'm sure Allie Bleacher could beat up on the boys if nationals were to be held at that ridiculous whirlpool you call Charleston.
Ha.
But look, the jury's still out. We're going to have to wait and see if she can take this show anywhere outside of Annapolis.
Sailing World rankings are out, and now we check in with Meredith Powelson.
It's great to be back for the spring season, and I've got the third rankings right here. This time around, we actually had record participation with 28 coaches casting votes, so pretty cool to see that. In the co-ed poll, Yale got the most first place votes, so they are at the top of the poll this week. Stanford and Brown moved back up into the top 5 as well, and they are in the 3rd and 4th spots. Wisconsin moves up into the top 20, they place 17th. On the women's side of things, the majority of the coaches put Boston College in first place, but there are definitely some mixed opinions out there on the #1 team. In fact, you can see that all of the top 6 women's teams got at least one first place vote. Cornell put in a great effort this week, as you've mentioned, and they were rewarded for their efforts. They placed 8th in the poll. And beyond that, Vermont has moved up into the top 15 this week. And there are 8 teams in that also receiving votes section, so we'll have to see what happens next time around.
Thank you, Meredith. Well, Zeke, look at your Cougars dropping from a nearly unanimous first place ranking 2 weeks ago to 5th this week. Ouch.
Yeah, rarely do you see a team drop so dramatically in the rankings from 1st all the way down to 5th like that. So I think Yale's an obvious pick here, winning the Trucks, but I think after that there's a lot of parity in that top 5, and I think it's really anybody's battle.
Yeah, and I love looking at the first place votes. That number in the brackets there shows a lot of disagreement this week. You know, you look at Stanford, they were probably a favorite last week after winning the 2 team races, but taking the weekend off, a lot of coaches refused to give them that pick. 7 coaches still did. Georgetown getting rewarded for its consistency over the past couple weekends, a 3rd at the St. Mary's team race and a 4th at the Trucks.
Yeah, you know, I think Georgetown seems to be overachieving just a little bit so far this spring. Clearly, they've got a great leader at the top in senior Chris Barnard, but their other players are still really young, freshmen. They had a great win down at the Bob, but neither Stanford nor Charleston had their top squad there. So I think as we go through the rest of the season, I would look for those more experienced teams to start pulling away from these guys. But again, nothing to be taken away from Georgetown. They've been super consistent, sailing great so far.
Okay, on to the women's here. BC, obvious pick after their big weekend, starting their season 1-0. A couple of coaches looked more closely at the circumstances here, though. Yale and Navy as well, sailing their A-division skippers up at the Trucks, and both of those ladies winning their divisions there.
Yeah, I think you're right. BC is the obvious choice here. They dominate in St. Mary's. I would kind of like to see these coaches reward the deeper teams in college sailing, though. Teams like Georgetown and Yale that have been consistent in both divisions for the entire spring, really. I'd like to see a little more love for those Cornell girls, man. They finished with a 5th in St. Mary's and a 6th at Navy. Clearly, they're performing really high in A division. They're just a little improvement in B away from maybe making it up into my top 3 even.
And the other team that caught my eye was Dartmouth, now in 6th. Clearly still on the minds of the coaches that witnessed their all-out dominance in the fall, but you just can't rank them in the top 5 this early in the spring season when they're not showing up. Still waiting to see their debut in a couple more weeks.
And a big thanks to our girl Meredith Powlison and Sailing World for providing us with these rankings, and we're looking forward to checking back in 2 weeks.
Now we turn our attention to the weekend ahead. Harvard and MIT host the Boston Dinghy Cup, the 3-division fleet race event on the Charles River. New York Maritime hosts the 2nd-tier team racing event of the weekend, the Admiral Moore, and up at Tufts on the Mystic Lake in Larks, we've got the Duplin Women's Team Race, the one-of-a-kind.
And the big one this weekend that our predictions will hang on is the Aaron Zambecki team race at ODU. With many of the top players in attendance, we've got the top 4 from the Sail 1 Design team race rankings. That was Stanford in 1st place, Charleston in 2nd, Georgetown tied for 2nd, but lost the tiebreaker, so ranked 3rd. BC ranked 4th, and a little birdie told me that they may be suffering from some injuries, so not sure how they'll be faring for the weekend. But we've also got St. Mary's College and Navy ranked 7th and 8th, and ODU ranked 11th, sailing at home. On a side note, ODU is also the site that's going to be hosting the ICSA semi-finals, giving these top sailors a taste of what is to come for that most important qualifier for the 2013 ICSA National Championships. So guys, predictions, what are you thinking?
Well, especially after convincing Zeke last week of their dominance, I have to pick Stanford. Yeah, it's an obvious pick. They are the winningest team race team this spring, but they just got it going on. I mean, look, they're bringing back their regular old team of Kevin Labe, Carolyn Ortel, Oliver Toole, Haley Kirk, and Mateo Vargas sailing with Tally Buckstaff. after trying out some different combinations these past couple weeks. Coming off a weekend off from their midterms or finals or whatever elite academic nonsense they do this time of year, John Vandemore has a lot of options to pick from, but goes with the same team that we've seen the past few years. And I think that, like I've been saying, this is their year.
Cougars, because they're the best team. You've got Handsome Mac and his crew, Corey DeColibus, coming off a relaxing weekend off down in Charleston. And let me drop this little bit of knowledge on you here. Juan Magley and Seppi McAdams just crowned Guatemalan Hobie 16 national champions. And I challenge you to find anyone else in college sailing that has that under their belt. So look out. They've got the ball rolling. They've got the big mo, and it's an easy pick. Cougars.
Both compelling choices, but I'm leaving you guys to duke it out, and I'm going with Georgetown. They are ranked 3rd in the college rankings by the coaches. They've got the young Nevin Snow returning back from the youth training America's Cup event. So that's Nevin Snow, Tori Lynch, Alex Post, Kadia De Silva, Sean Golden, and Annalise Leggett. I think they're good to go.
And hey, we're tweeting now. Follow us at ICSA_ChuckTalk. Thanks for watching.
Good luck to all the teams sailing this weekend.
Sail fast.
Bye.